All right guys, welcome back to Just Driven Fast 4 Skyline. And guess what? It's almost ready for paint. The important thing now is making this body look perfect and making the hood and the bumper fit beautifully on these factory GTR fenders and these factory GTR quarters. When we bought this car in Japan, it is a GTT. We sent it to a professional shop that was recommended to us. They were actually able to install the quarter panels, and they did an absolute beautiful job. Also installing the larger inner wheel wells, which is great. They did an amazing job. We were also able to acquire a proper Nismo bumper. This was the actual bumper that was on my original car, which was the movie car. In Fast 4, there was only really one real GTR. The rest of the cars were GTTs, and they were used for second unit production. Then the fifth car was actually a buggy car, which had the VW motor in the back. So I owned the original Hero car. I also owned the buggy car. The Hero car ultimately got sold to Germany, and it sold just a few years ago and set a world record for 1.3 million record sale for a GTR. We decided we were going to build this GTT to replicate the original Hero car, meaning it needed the larger quarter panels. The GTTs that were used didn't have the larger quarter panels. They were all the skinny bodies, and we used the East Bear body kits to make it appear that they were GTRs. We were able to acquire a real GTR wing. We found one used in Japan. We were able to acquire the correct East Bear hood. We're not going to install rear spats because the movie car didn't have spats. We were able to acquire brand new quarter glass, all new moldings. This isn't just going to be a refresh and a refresh paint. It's going to look like a brand new car. Just so you guys understand, the Hero car was the only car that was fitted with 19s. The second unit production cars all had 18s. They wanted the Hero car to look really good for marketing purposes, so they went with 19s. We were unable to find proper 19s with a proper GTR fitment. Fortunately, Jack over at VR Wheels was able to replicate the wheel, did an amazing job. We were able to get the correct measurements, and the wheels are ready to go. Like I've said before, all these cars have to be ready. Come June, these cars are all attending multiple events, and they have to look perfect. And as far as the interior goes, our friend Alex, MST Upholstery, he is done quite a few cars for us. He did our Too Fast, Too Furious car. He's done a few of our Supras. We tasked him with doing the OMP seats. Yes, these cars did have a roll bar. It was painted semi-gloss black. And unfortunately, this car's here, so we aren't able to run it over to Richard over at Works Corsa. So we cheated. We sent our Too Fast, Too Furious Skyline, which is pretty much done, and used it as a template to build the proper roll bar that has the harness bar going across it. So when this car is done, the roll bar will be ready to be installed. The wheels, the brakes, the big brake kit is also ready to go. The monitor, they installed this really pretty cool for the time monitor, right? And there was a company called Magden that actually wrote the code to tie into the CAN system so it could feed information and display accurate information of what was going on the instrument cluster. Since they didn't want to use the original MFD, they thought it was too small, and the art director said, we need a bigger monitor. And the scene where you see Brian O'Connor working on the computer, he's basically programming it. Well, here's the thing. When the movie came out, within 6 months, Magden, the company that wrote the code that reads the information and displays it over onto the monitor, they went out of business. Supposedly, someone said, oh, there's some open source code available on the internet. Well, it's corrupted, it can't be used. James, just driven James.
These are the brakes. Bring it up, bring it up, bring it up, break down.
He actually has a good friend that writes code, and we got the code sourced, and we're going to own that code, which is really pretty exciting. This car is going to be in paint in the next 5 days, so I hope. Because here's the thing, I don't want to rush the painter, because when you rush, you miss things. So I'm asking him to get this thing in its final sealer, make sure that we put some gel coat on the fiberglass hood, because I don't care what anyone says, anytime you've added Bondo or filler on fiberglass, it moves. And it comes back 6 months, a year, 2 years later. You look at the paint, now I'm picky, I'm super picky. And if you look real close at the paint, you see the lines, you see the repair lines. So that's gonna get gel coated, it's gonna sit, it's gonna get blocked, it's gonna get painted. The bumpers, the skirts, all of that has to be pre-fit, prepared before it's painted. And that beautiful Bayside blue paint is gonna be put on this car. Now, there's multiple codes for Bayside blue. Nissan has a proper code number. I think it's TV2 or TV1, I can't remember. But when you call it in and you give them that code, there's several variants of it. We went with a little bit higher luster blue, because when I gave the studio the original Bayside blue car to them, we did a respray on it because it wasn't perfect, and we wanted it to be perfect for the movie. And we went with that other code that is a slightly different variant. It's a little bit brighter. And before we actually sprayed the car, we spoke to the art director, and they were the one that helped us choose that color. Most people looking at it won't know the difference. When it's parked next to a Bayside blue car, it's just a slightly more brilliant color. The clock is ticking away. So now we're gonna head over, talk to Joe. That'll be another video on the Bayside RX-7 Tokyo Drift car. Don't forget to tell us what you think. What direction would you have gone? Would you have done anything different? Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.